The Gutter Saint. Part 1. The one who watches in the crawlspace. Most stories that end in madness don't begin with much. Mine started with a pipe leak. Simple. Harmless. Mundane. My name is Micah. I'm a freelance welder, 34, divorced, and tired of being awake at 3 a.m. with the sound of dripping crawling down the back of my skull. The house I bought was a foreclosure outside a small town in Iowa. Something about it seemed off from the beginning. Not cursed. Not haunted. Just off. The way a photo of yourself looks when flipped in a mirror, recognizable, but subtly wrong. The pipe ran under the living room. A crawlspace was the only access. I didn't like crawlspaces, but I wasn't about to pay a plumber $200 an hour to lie on his back and stare at rusted iron when I could do it myself. So I suited up. Headlamp, gloves, the whole deal. I opened the hatch. That was the first time I smelled it. Not mold. Not mildew. Something else. A thick, cloying scent of salt and rot, like seawater trapped in a crypt. I gagged, muttered something about old house syndrome, and slid inside. I didn't see him that first time, but he saw me. The crawlspace ran longer than expected. My blueprints showed 15 feet of clearance. I counted nearly 30 before I reached the pipe. As I worked, I felt eyes on me. Not metaphorically. The way your skin feels when someone's breathing on it. The air changed, got wet, charged. My breath came shorter. I chalked it up to claustrophobia and kept my light aimed high. Then I saw it. A carving. Scratched into the wood beams above the foundation. Just lines at first, until I moved closer and realized they weren't lines. They were eyes. Hundreds of them. All crudely etched, each with a horizontal slit in the center like cats' pupils. Some were open. Some were closed. One had something that looked like teeth growing from the corners. A chill ran through my ribs. I backed out of the crawlspace, finished the job fast, and told myself I didn't care. But I did. I couldn't stop thinking about those eyes. And what might be using them. That night I woke to knocking. Not on the door. Under the floor. 3 knocks. Pause. Then 4. I grabbed a hammer and knelt down by the vent that looked into the crawlspace. Nothing but dust and cobwebs. But the smell was back. Stronger. And something whispered. You looked. The next day, I boarded the hatch shut. I meant it to be temporary. I told myself I'd go back in, bleach the place, sand off the carvings. Maybe burn some sage like my ex used to do after one of her episodes. But I never reopened it. That night, I dreamed of the crawlspace. Except it wasn't a space anymore. It was a cathedral. Wooden ribs arched above me like stained glass vaults. Eyes blinked along the walls, lining every crevice, and in the pulpit, something stood. I couldn't see its face. It was too close to the ground, crouched in a way that made its limbs wrong. It wore a robe of teeth and wire. Its mouth opened sideways. Its voice was a gurgle, like water spiraling down a drain. You found my place. Now I will find yours. I woke up vomiting. My sheets soaked. Not sweat. Water. And underneath it all, the smell. I tried leaving. I swear I tried. I packed a bag, started the truck. But I didn't get far. The roads twisted. The GPS spun like a carousel. Every turn brought me back to the house. I drove in circles for 2 hours, past the same dead possum on the road 6 times, until my fuel light blinked and my hands started to tremble. The house was waiting when I returned. Porch light on. Hatch unboarded. Open. Smiling. I called the sheriff. He came out with a deputy. They checked the house, the yard, the crawl space. Found nothing. Told me maybe I was tired. Maybe I was stressed. Maybe I'd been drinking. I hadn't. But they left. And the house settled into itself again. The walls breathed. The plumbing sighed. The hatch grinned wider. I've taken to sleeping in the kitchen, lights on, floor covered in salt. Not that it helps. He still comes. I don't see him, not with my eyes. But I feel him slither beneath the tiles. Press against the floorboards. Hiss through the heating vents. I hear him pray. Not to me. About me. Blessed are the seekers, for they shall be filled with teeth, with eyes, with dark. I found more carvings yesterday. They're not just in the crawl space anymore. They're on the inside of the walls, behind the mirror in the bathroom, under the lining of my mattress, even on the skin under my left armpit. New skin, raw and pink, peeled back to reveal a set of symbols etched in flesh. He's writing in me now, like I'm a page in his holy book. The gutter saint. That's what I call him now. The one who watches from below. The one who blesses the unwanted spaces. The mildew corners. The cracks under doors. The filth that collects and drains. He has always lived here. I just noticed him. And that was enough. I can't leave. But I can still warn you. If you hear the pipes groan at night, if you find extra nails under your stairs, if you feel something crawling up through your heating vents, don't look. Don't acknowledge him. Don't breathe too loud. Because once you do, he finds your crawl space. He learns your name. And he begins to pray. Part 2, The Gospel of Rot. It's hard to keep track of days now. The light outside doesn't change much. The sun comes up, I think. But the color's wrong. Too orange, too thick. Like the air is stained with rust and syrup. My watch stopped ticking last week. The wall clock goes backward. Every time I check the date on my phone, it gives me a different number. Sometimes the same date repeats. Other times it jumps ahead a year. Or back. I stopped trusting time the day I found the first page. It was under my tongue. I woke choking. My mouth dry and metallic, like I'd been chewing on old coins. I coughed until my throat bled, and then I felt it, something thin, soft, alive behind my teeth. I reached in and pulled it out. A scrap of vellum. Real vellum. Not paper, skin. Words carved into it, inked in something thick and red. It pulsed between my fingers. I couldn't read the language, not really, but I understood it. Every word felt like a worm slipping into my ear. It said, "The saint lives below the breath. He nests in the spaces you forget. He waits in silence for your footfall. He smiles in darkness. He eats your name." More pages came after that. One in my pillow. one curled inside the fridge, wedged between a carton of expired eggs and a jar of pickles I never bought. Another under the skin of my cat. I felt it itch for days before I cut it out with a box cutter, crying and laughing, as the blood came out gray. They're all from the same book. His book. The Gospel of Rot. My house is no longer my house. It's been rewritten. The walls don't go where they should. The kitchen sometimes leads to the bathroom. The attic has a door now. A small one, maybe 3 feet tall, shaped like a keyhole. I haven't opened it. I won't. Every mirror shows something different. Sometimes me, screaming with a mouth full of teeth. Sometimes the crawlspace. Sometimes him. He's clearer now. The saint. I saw his face in the mirror 3 days ago, if you can call it a face. It's not symmetrical. It's not human. It shifts constantly, like it's trying to imitate everyone who's ever looked down into a drain. Flesh made of folds, like wet rags stuffed into a mouth. His eyes blink sideways. His tongue is forked with writing. And he smiles. He always smiles. He left something in the crawlspace for me. A gift. A blessing. I didn't want to go back under. But the pipes started singing again, and my blood itched with the sound. Like it wanted out. Like it wanted to crawl down there without me. I pried the hatch open. The space had changed. No longer just a cavity beneath the house. It had expanded. Gone deeper. The walls pulsed like lungs. The beams dripped with condensation that smelled like vinegar and meat. And in the center, a basin. Stone. Filled with brackish water, thick with black filaments. Floating in it was a tooth. Human, probably. No root. Just smooth enamel and writing on the surface, etched like acid into porcelain. It read, "Speak my name and the world will crack." I left it there. But when I got back upstairs, it was on my pillow, wrapped in a page of the gospel. The dreams are worse now. Not surreal. Not fragmented. Prophetic. I'm kneeling in a church made of pipes and bone. The pews are filled with faceless people, mouths sewn shut. The air hums with breathless prayer. The gutter saint is on the altar. He doesn't speak. I do. Words pour from my mouth, syllables older than dirt, vowels shaped like hands. I scream them, weeping, because I can feel them unmaking me. Every word leaves a hole in me. A place he can crawl into. I started hearing them in waking life, too. The parishioners. They live in the walls now. I see them through the cracks. Shadows moving on the other side of the drywall. They whisper in unison, mouths rotted into grins. They call me Brother Micah now. Yesterday, the floor in the living room collapsed. Not from rot. From weight. Something moved beneath. I saw the wood bulge up, like a body pressing against plastic, then snap inward, revealing nothing but darkness and a stairwell spiraling down, far beyond where my foundation should be. The gospel was waiting on the first step. Another page. Freshly inked. Still bleeding. It said, "The saint is ascending. Prepare the house. Prepare the flesh. The sermon begins with your mouth." My teeth have started falling out. One a day, sometimes more. But there's no pain. No blood. And in their place, new teeth grow. Sharper. Not mine. I don't think I'll need lips much longer. I can't leave the house anymore. Not because I'm trapped. Because the house is moving with me. Every time I step out, the street's different. Shorter. The trees bow toward me. The neighbors hum and grin and tap their fingers on their windows. Some of them are already blessed. I see the eyes carved into their mailboxes. The sigils burnt into their porch lights. One waved to me yesterday. His mouth opened sideways. I am the vessel now. The house is the church. The saint is the shepherd. And the crawlspace is just the beginning. There are other rooms now. Rooms with names I can't pronounce. Rooms with walls made of tongue and prayer and hair that moves in water you can't see. Rooms where sermons are screamed through pipes. Rooms where saints are born backwards. He says I'll be the first of many. That all the forgotten spaces are linked. Every crawl space, every attic, every storm drain, every sewer pipe. A web beneath the world. And I am its spider. He says the next page will be the last. And it will be written in my voice. Part 3. The procession below. It began with the footprints. At first, just one set, muddy impressions across the hallway floor. Bare feet. Narrow. Toes too long. Leading from the bathroom to the closet under the stairs. I hadn't been in that closet in weeks. I followed the prints, heart tapping like a warning bell in my throat. The door was open. Inside, darkness. And at the far end, something breathing. I closed it. Nailed it shut. The next morning, the nails were gone. And now there were 3 sets of footprints. They walk the house now. At night I hear them move. Slow. Wet. Deliberate. They don't knock. They hum. The same wet lullaby, always beneath my hearing, always in my chest. I see them from the corner of my eyes, figures with robes made of insulation and teeth, dragging bone rosaries across the floor. The parishioners. They came after I read the 3rd page. That one was carved into the inside of my fridge. Not written. Etched, like with a claw or a rusted nail. The letters bled brown, stinking like old pennies. It said, "The gospel has been heard. The congregation gathers. Open the walls, brother Micah. Make way for the saint's skin." They started inside the drywall. I heard them whispering there, louder each day. They scuttled like centipedes. Left behind trails of salt and nail filings. I found black threads growing from the vents, wet, fibrous, vein-like, creeping up through the grates and wrapping around the doorknobs. Then the walls cracked, split at the seams, and they crawled out. They never look the same twice. Some are tall, hunched, with jaws that swing like doors. Others are squat and eyeless, skin stretched so tight it looks stitched. But all of them smile. That wide, gaping, knowing smile. They don't speak words, not exactly. But when they hum, I understand. They say, "Make room. Hollow yourself. The saint needs space to wear you." I don't fight anymore. Not really. Some part of me wants this now. Wants to be clean. Wants to be useful. Wants to let go of this aching body and become something that serves. There's comfort in giving up. In letting rot replace responsibility. In letting the sermon write itself through you. The house is no longer a house. It's a lung. The walls breathe. The doors open and close like eyelids. The ceiling leaks blood ink that spells scripture across the floors. I slip sometimes. Fall to my knees in the kitchen, reading the newest verse scrawled in bile and mold. The gospel is flesh. The sermon is blood. The preacher is bone. Let the house become. I tried calling someone. I don't know who. My mother, maybe. An old friend. The phone rang twice. Then a voice picked up. Not human. Something between a gargle and a sob. It said, "Too late. Too full. Too holy." Then it laughed. I smashed the phone against the wall. But when I turned around, the parishioners had written the same phrase across my bedroom mirror in black saliva. They're building something in the crawlspace. They go in at night. They carry things with them, meat that still twitches, wiring from the walls, bits of bone I don't recognize. I looked once. Just once. There's a throne growing down there now. It's shaped like a spinal column, wrapped in insulation and skin, padded with hair. The seat is wet, and above it, the outline of a face, forming, taking shape. His face. He's almost ready to arrive. The saint. The gutter-mouthed God. He will not come from below. He will come from within. And when he sits upon his throne, the town won't survive. The world won't either. Because he's been under all of us from the beginning. In our vents. In our drains. In the spots we never clean. He's not invading. He's emerging. Tonight they baptized me. I woke up on the kitchen table, wrists bound in copper wire, mouth full of salt. They stood in a circle around me, each holding a lit candle that dripped onto my bare chest. The one with no eyes leaned down, placed a finger in my mouth, and said, "The gospel is finished. Now comes the Massachusetts." Then they opened my side with a rusty knife, poured something into me. Not water. Something thicker. Alive. I screamed. They sang. When I woke up, the pain was gone. But something moved in my chest. Like a second heart. The walls are breathing faster now. The basement pulses. The parishioners line the halls in reverent silence. The throne is finished. And I know what comes next. He comes. Through me. Out of me. As me. The final page is waiting. I see it every time I blink now. A burning symbol etched into the backs of my eyelids. It reads, "The sermon ends with your scream. Then begins again. In another house. In another crawlspace. In another you. I am ready. I am open. I am his." Part 4. The saint ascends through skin. The final night began in silence. No more whispers in the walls. No more footsteps. No more dripping. The pipes were dry. The air still. The parishioners were gone. I awoke to the sound of nothing, the kind of nothing that rings in your ears like pressure before a storm. But it wasn't the absence of noise that woke me. It was the feeling that something had stepped inside me and locked the door behind it. I stumbled to the mirror, not to check my face. I knew what I'd see, but to see if he was there. The saint. The gutter god. He wasn't in the glass. He was in me. My skin looked gray, stretched too tight. My eyes were dark-ringed, pupils wide and deep, as though my skull were hollowed out behind them. My veins pulsed black beneath my flesh, forming words I couldn't pronounce but somehow knew were prayers. The teeth had all fallen out during the night. But that didn't matter. New ones had grown. Longer. Sharper. Eager. The throne in the crawlspace throbbed. I could feel it through the floorboards, each beat in rhythm with my own pulse. I knew it wasn't just a seat. It was a birth canal. And I was both womb and offering. The last page of the gospel had arrived. Not under my pillow. Not in my skin. But written on the ceiling in scarlet. Just above my bed. One word. Open. At dusk, the saint began to move. He didn't descend from a cloud. He didn't burst from the ground. He pushed through me. It started at the back of my throat. A pressure. A stretching. Like something too big for this world trying to squeeze through my body. I coughed black bile, choked on knotted hair, and felt my chest split, not with pain, but with release. My ribs opened like hands. They welcomed him. I crawled to the basement, trailing blood and bone. The walls pulsed with light, slick with condensation that smelled like home. The air was so thick it sang when I moved through it. The parishioners had returned. But they no longer wore skin. Their shapes shifted, melting, rearranging, reforming into devotional configurations. One had no head. Another floated in the air like jelly. They bowed when I entered. They whispered, "He comes through the willing, the rotted, the opened." They parted for me. I stepped onto the throne. When I sat, my spine locked into place. The entire structure shivered. And then I opened. It wasn't like possession. Not like any movie or preacher ever warned about. It was communion. I became hollow. My organs withered. My thoughts dimmed like old light bulbs. And something else, something blessed and wrong slid into the void. The saint. He saw through my eyes. He breathed through my mouth. And when he smiled, the house sighed. Above us, the town began to twist. I heard it through the pipes. Every house in the neighborhood groaned as their foundations cracked open. Drains boiled. Sinks wept. Toilets screamed. The roads curled like dying snakes. Trees bowed. The sky split with the sound of dripping. And down every hallway, through every vent, in every forgotten closet and hollow place, he emerged. It wasn't just me. Every parishioner gave birth. In basements, in garages, in the cold corners of old attics, he rose. Mouth first. Each one of him shaped by the rot of their hosts. Some tall and elegant. Some twisted and gasping. All smiling. All hungry. And through all of them he spoke. "I am the saint of silence. The god of guttered bones. You have built your world atop my teeth. Now I bite through." The town folded in on itself. A black blossom of cartilage and sewer pipe. Streetlights flickered out as wires turned to veins. Houses merged like melting candles. Roads became tongues. The sky above Thistle Creek collapsed into a single blinking eye that wept salt water and lightning. Time bled. Reality hiccuped. And the saint began his sermon. I remember none of it. Only the echo. Words spoken in a voice so wet it drowned thought. Syllables that broke glass and boiled blood. I heard them through every pipe in the world. I think you did too. When your faucet screamed. When the drain gurgled. When you woke from that dream with a tooth in your hand. That was him. That was me. That was us. I am no longer a person. I am a vent. A conduit. I carry his breath through plumbing and crawl space and memory. I am his reflection in mildew. His mouth beneath the mattress. His gospel in your pipes. And he is not done. He is still preaching. Still birthing. Still spreading. Check your house. Check your drains. Check the hatch you haven't touched since you moved in. If you see moss growing on dry tile. If you hear humming beneath your floorboards. If something writes in the steam of your mirror. Do not respond. Do not pray. Because prayer is just an invitation. And once invited, the saint never leaves. Part 5. And the mouth remains open. They say the end of the world will come with fire. Those people haven't met the gutter saint. He doesn't burn. He softens. He seeps. He soaks into the things we forget to clean. Behind the stove, beneath the water heater, between the walls we pretend aren't rotting. He unravels the world not with fury, but with moisture, with devotion. He isn't here to destroy. He's here to bless. And I was the first altar, but not the last. Since the saint ascended through me, time's been strange. I exist in cracks now. Between seconds. Between rooms. Sometimes I'm back in my house. What's left of it, anyway? The walls are peeled open like the ribs of a great beast. The rooms bleed mildew. The crawl space stretches down forever, a black throat full of breath. Other times I'm everywhere else. Behind your fridge. In your laundry drain. On the back of your tongue when you wake at 3:09 a.m. gasping, throat dry, sheets soaked in sweat that smells like seawater. You know the dream. The one with the stairs and the whispering faucet. The one where something calls your name from under the house. That's not a dream. It's a summons. You see, the saint doesn't need believers. He needs hosts. And belief, that comes after. It always does. There's a city now. Built from the flesh of towns like mine. You won't find it on any map, but it's under every major highway. You've passed it a dozen times without knowing. Smelled it in a rest stop sink. Heard it in a hotel toilet that wouldn't stop hissing. It's called Recruit. And it pulses. Built from rib cages and water heaters, foundations and furnace dust, blindfolds and guilt. The parishioners walk its streets, robes trailing sewage, mouths open in song that no longer needs air. They are me. I am them. And we all speak the final verse now. Would you like to hear it? You already know part of it. Every time you whisper, "What was that?" when something moves in the walls. Every time you feel watched stepping out of the shower. Every time your basement door creaks open without cause. You've spoken a syllable of the saint's name. He has many. None are safe. All are wet. There are children now. Born from the gospel. Slick things with spiral jaws and sideways eyes. Not monstrous, just devoted. They don't scream when they're born. They hum. Their lullabies are sermons. Their teeth fall out as scripture. Their hands are webbed with fungus that smells like old books and rust. They don't crawl. They slither. And they're hungry. Not for flesh, but for space. They want room to grow. Room to rot. Room to worship. And they know the best churches are built underground. I tell you this not as a warning. There is no stopping this. The pipes are already singing in your house, aren't they? Your bathroom drain already knows your breath. The stain under your sink has begun to move when you blink too slowly. The crawl space has been deeper than it should be for months. You've started to hear footsteps. And you haven't told anyone because they'd say it's the house settling. But houses don't hum. You are the next sermon. Your body the next sanctuary. The saint doesn't knock. He drips. He whispers. He smiles. And when you finally go down to check that noise in the crawl space, and your flashlight catches something crouched in the corner, eyes too wide, mouth too open, hands made of plumbing and rot, you will remember this story, and it will be too late. Because you don't just read the Gospel of Rot. You inherit it. I was Micah once. Now I'm the page beneath your skin. I'm the mildew behind your eyelids. I'm the last sound your teeth make before they fall out. And the gutter saint? He is watching from beneath your floorboards. Smiling. Waiting. You have already heard the sermon. And now? Now you will open.